Good evening. It is a Tuesday, February 10th, just a little bit after about 5:18 p.m. And with a quorum of members present, I will call the Finance Committee to order. Item number 1 on our agenda is public comment on agenda items and reading of the City of Wausau public comment statement. I've been indicated that one person wishes to give comment, so I will read the public comment statement. The City of Wausau recognizes the value of public comment on local issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on city matters. Please identify yourself by name and state your address. Each statement made by a participant should be limited to 3 minutes. Direct all comments to the chair, not the members, staff, or other participants. People addressing the council shall not disrupt the orderly course of business. The chair values civil discourse and may interrupt, terminate, or prohibit public comment that do not adhere to these rules. And we have Tony Gonzalez here who wishes to give comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I wish to do comment on the agenda discussion and possible action on 3A, entering a memorandum of understanding with healthy opportunities for Latin Americans and new beginnings. And this is regarding in particular the RFP. Why use RFPs? It provides a framework to compare vendors and minimize any bias. It encourages vendors to propose innovative solutions, and it gives transparency. It helps to justify the final decision to stakeholders. I provided each of the members a copy of this letter. I'm just going to go over it. However, this RFP opened on December 17th of 2025, and it closed on January 8th of 2026. Posting an RFP with only 3 weeks during the Christmas and New Year's holiday period is a common point of contention in procurement, often criticized for limiting competition and failing to maximize value for taxpayer money. Number 1, it's inadequate time for quality proposed development. Holiday shutdowns. Most firms operated with a skeleton staff or closed entirely during the last 2 weeks of December and the first week of January. A 3-week window in this time frame means only 1 or perhaps 0 working weeks are available for vendors to review, analyze, and price the proposal. It's a complex proposal. That's why an RFP is there. Often the subject for public RFPs require cross-functional teams to contribute, like legal, technical, and financial. The unavailability of key personnel during the holidays makes assembling a comprehensive proposal in 3 weeks nearly impossible, forcing qualified firms to pass on the opportunity. There's the disadvantage to potential bidders. It's a forced non-response. Qualified suppliers may not be able to participate simply due to capacity constraints and the timing of the announcement, leading to smaller and a less competitive pool of bidders. And there's an unfair advantage to insiders. In a short window, combined with holiday distractions, heavily favors incumbent firms that had the inside knowledge and began preparing before the official release of this RFP. Number 3, failure to maximize use of city money. Reduced competition equals higher costs. A limited number of bidders reduces the competitive pressure on pricing. Fewer or lower quality bids often result in higher contract prices and less favorable terms from the city. And there's some sub-optional solutions. When bidders are rushed, they may inflate their prices to cover unforeseen risks, to offer more generic cookie-cutter solution rather than a tailored, innovative approach, failing to provide the best value. There's some lack of transparency and professionalism. The perception of backdoor dealing. Dropping a significant RFP as this one just before a major holiday can be viewed as a tactic to limit competition, potentially suggesting the buyer already has a preferred vendor in mind. Procurement best practices. While the legal minimums might have been met here, the best practices suggest an ample time for vendors to provide a thorough proposal, especially if the deadline falls during a known low productivity period. In conclusion, an RFP posted only 3 weeks over Christmas and New Year's is a bad time to drop a proposal. It effectively reduces the functional bidding time to nearly 0. This approach directly contradicts the goal of fair, open competition and likely results in higher costs and lower quality for the city. Just as disclosure, I did get a copy of the RFP, but it wasn't sent. It was sent to the health department a week after I was led to believe by a mail that I got here on December 11 that Lake State's Environment was going to be taking care of this. I didn't know that there was going to be a bid for this. I didn't see it when I received it. And I got it right here. I can provide those copies too. And a project as important as this, I am a certified interpreter. I've worked in these courts. I worked in this court. I work with the health systems. I got technically 25 years as an interpreter, but really it's a lifetime since I was a kid. The fact that you're bilingual doesn't make you an interpreter, and this requires a lot of understanding by our community to know what kind of job it's going to be done at their houses. So with that, I turned into each of you members a letter, and I hope that these facts are considered, because I myself would have liked to at least attempt to bid for this, as well as other people, and the opportunity wasn't there with those just 3 weeks in Christmas. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, anybody?
I think so at this time.
No?
Okay, well,
Thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment this evening? All right, not hearing anything. I will move on to item number 2, consideration of the minutes of the preceding meetings. That's January 27, 2026, regular Finance Committee minutes. And minutes are in the packet. If there are any questions, otherwise I'll entertain a motion. Motion from Tierney, second from Greiner. Discussion. Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Item number 3, discussion and possible action. Point A, authorization for entering into a memorandum of understanding with both Healthy Opportunities for Latin America, HOLA, and New Beginnings, Inc., through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Lead Hazard Reduction Capacity Building Grant. And there's a staff memo, and there's also some the RFP responses in your packet. We have Tammy Strantz here if anybody has any questions on this. I don't know, Tammy, if you want to give us a little overview or anything. I know there's a lot of information here.
There's a lot of information, yes, thank you. As you remember, about a year and a half ago, we were able to receive a HUD grant for the Lead Hazard Reduction Capacity Building Grant. With this, there's some controversy of whether we should accept it or not, because it's a lot of money, and the people that wrote the grant weren't part of the administration anymore, so we had to dive into it to find out exactly what it meant. And once we found out from the health department what it meant, and they were the big partner, we knew that it was a great opportunity for us to start doing some great things. As we were learning of everything that we needed to do, it's taken us some time to get to the point where we are ready to start working with organizations. We've been working with nonprofits, trying to get the word out, and we now are ready to start working with those underserved, those that are not English speaking. And yes, we put out an RFP. We had talked about the timing. Government doesn't shut down because of holidays. I wish I could have been gone, but I was here. We submitted it to 4 agencies that we were aware of, and we did receive comments. We received 2 proposals and one from another agency who said thank you, but we're in a process of reorganization, so we won't have time to help. We can't help with you at this point, but if you can help later, we're willing. So we did receive 2 applications, and you have them in the packet. We met with them after vetting the applications, just to talk through to make sure we understood what each of them could do. And because they both have a different niche in the community, we thought it'd be best to work with both of them. So we met with them again because the budget is quite a bit less than what they were asking for, to make sure that they understood what this means. And both of them are actually excited to move forward and work with us to help us build the capacity of finding those homes on those those homes that we can benefit with by doing lead abatement in the future.
Okay.
So it is a lot to digest, so if you have questions.
Yeah, any questions? Alder Cheney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tammy, I was just wondering, because this has come up time and time again, would these companies be able to assist us with signage, say out at our front door, and newsletters in, having an insert for Southeast Asian or Latino community, things like that, because it's difficult to get what's going on in the city out to these folks. We don't have anything on our website for them. We don't have anything in our newsletter for them. We don't even have signs on the door having our hours or to please have your check ready or absentee
Sure.
voting. So, we really, that was on our 5-year plan, and we have not done anything to accommodate that. So is that something that they would be able to help us with
They
as
would,
well?
absolutely. I've worked with the Hmong American Center many times when it comes to translation of the spoken word. If I have a family that, through our homeowner rehab program, that doesn't speak English, they will accompany me and work with that. They've pretty much told us, don't waste your time putting it in written language, because there's so many different variations, and a lot of them don't read. They speak it. So that's why we haven't done that. I'm sure Ola or anybody would be willing to help us with the translation with Spanish. Absolutely. That'd be a lot different than this grant opportunity, because this grant, because HUD, it has to be very strict towards the lead prevention.
Just some of the basics that we really should have, but we don't, because our city has gotten, we're a lot more multicultural. than
Absolutely.
we're 10,
I'm
15
finding it
years
more,
ago.
especially working with the health department
Sure.
with lead hazard kids, and we've had several refugees come, unfortunately already lead poisoned, and the language barrier is difficult, but, and then we have to tap into several different translations, companies, organizations to help us with that. But yes, we could, I think we should. The problem is you don't know what language, there's many out there, and who benefits.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
I think for Spanish, it's for our Latino
Mm-hmm.
population. I think that one's pretty standard.
I agree
between
with
them.
you, yes.
But yeah, Southeast Asian, there's a lot of different dialects, so. Okay, thank you, Tim.
Any other questions? Alder Greiner?
Thank you, Chair. So let me slow down for a second. This is a lot to take in. In the budget, or in the packet, there is the budget presented to us by HOLA for the total of $573,981 with the matching funds from community infrastructure partners. Do you know where those matching funds would come from?
What they're, that's where we're meeting with them, with CIP. We met with them because we weren't quite sure if we understood that either, but I know Ola is working with CIP, getting into organizations or into households already. So if they can piggyback working with them on those and this, they end up getting paid by CIP funds, so we don't have to get paid through these funds. So that's where the match will come in, because
Okay.
they're already doing those things.
Gotcha. And it's also at the end of the MOU with New Beginnings, or excuse me, in the RFP, one of the two. Because it also, well, their total was 200 and, gosh, I can't find it now. What did I do with it? It was like 225,000 plus a 10%, another 10% additional contribution. Where would that also be coming from? Where did I see that at?
Yeah, that's on the organization themselves. They have
Okay.
to come up with that 10%.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay, so that wouldn't be coming from the HUD funding, that would be additional on top
correct,
of them.
correct.
Got you.
So it
Okay.
comes specifically out of their budget.
Okay, it's with the, didn't want to get through with this and at the end come back and say, oh, hey, there's another 10% on top of it. So
No.
I was just curious about that as well. And one more question. So between the two RFPs that we got, you said are the two New Beginnings and from HOLA? Those are the two?
Those are the two that
Those
we-
the only two, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? So. All right. So it looks like these two organizations, they do, they seem to do have two separate niches. One primarily for the Latino population, the other one for the Asian, Southeast Asian. So I can understand how we would want to maybe split the resources between the two, and they seem to be amenable to that. Did you find any, I guess, having the RFP over the holiday weekend, the holiday season, you still felt that there was adequate notice for everyone to know about this program and get a response in time, or so?
We talked about it going, is it a good time? No, it's not a good time. But do we wait until January and then let's face it, government takes a long time to get through to what we want to get to the end result. So we didn't want to wait another month before putting it out, before receiving them, vetting them, and it'd be probably March before we're here. So yeah, we had conversations about it. Unfortunately, it landed when it landed.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion. So. Alder Watson?
I move to approve the MOUs for OLA and New Beginnings.
Okay. There's a motion from Alder Watson. A second. Second from Tierney. Discussion on that? Okay. Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And that carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Point B, approving amendment to professional services contract with Eplex LLC. And I'm just going to pull this one up. And this one has to do with our inspections department for plan review of commercial properties, or say a commercial building and plumbing plan review. This is a renewal of a contract. We've used them in the past for 3 years. So we do have Bill Hebert. If anybody has any questions on the plan review process, it looks like it's pretty much the same as previously. It's just that the costs have increased for the reviews. So. Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Alder Greiner?
So for the increase in the prices that we have, this is coming from the service provider themselves. They are merely passing the costs on to us. These aren't additional costs that we are opting to change in our own fee schedule, correct?
Bill, good afternoon. I guess good evening. So.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, so the fees we just pass along to the owner developer.
Okay.
But we're really happy. We've been with E-Plan for 3 years. They started about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They just relooked at what the time it takes for them to do their work and decided that they needed to charge a little bit more. They broke down some of the smaller values for buildings as well. Used to be just from 0 to 5,000 square feet. And some of those take a little bit more work because less information is provided. So no cost to the city. The city gets a 10% cut, and they pay our 10% to the state. That's due.
Cover that. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
So using this company takes a lot of the load off of the inspectors then.
Yes, and actually we have a better service because the DSPS can take anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, depending on their workflow. E-Plan's a guaranteed answer in 15 days. Maybe turned down, but they'll have an answer.
Yep. So, okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Alder Watson?
I'd move to approve the amendment to the professional service contract with Uplex.
Okay. Motion from Watson, second. Second from Griner. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. All right. And then point C, approving amendment to the City of Wausau comprehensive fee schedule regarding commercial building and plumbing plan reviews. So this would be the actual fees being incorporated into the comprehensive fee schedule, so, which is, I guess, considered ordinance. So, Alder Watson?
I'd approve the amendment to our comprehensive fee schedule for that commercial building and plumbing plan review.
All right. Motion from Watson, second. Second from Griner. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries. Item D, approving airspace obstruction removal agreement with Schofield Ridgeland Legacy LLC, 724 and 732 Ridgeland Avenue in Schofield. And we've got John Shamil here. If you look on the, if you looked at the document, there was some, it looks like they're going to be removing some trees at the end of the runway to comply with FAA regulations. So John could fill us in on that some more, so.
Yeah, so we're hoping to reconstruct runway 1331 here in the near future. The only way we can do that is with FAA funding. An FAA funding requirement is that we remove all obstructions that might be interfering with the approaches to the runway. We've identified these two properties that are not covered under our height limitation zoning ordinance, and we don't have aviation agreements with them. So there are trees on their property. I spoke personally with both owners, and they are amicable to us removing the trees on their properties. And so we proposed this agreement with the city attorney, and she suggested that we needed to come here and council for approval.
Okay. Alder Watson?
So I'm looking at the resolution for this, and the cost is unknown because we don't know exactly what it's going to take to tear them down. But budget source, it's not included in the budget, right? But what's the source?
We haven't identified a source yet
Okay,
because we don't know the amount.
so it'll come back to us with that?
Yes, it'll.
Would,
we'll have
would,
to
would
do
that be incorporated in part of the reconstruction costs and be reimbursed by the FAA or
No, we're 100% responsible for these two.
Okay, okay. So that's on our dime.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? So, Alder Griner?
Thank you, Chair. So I have actually a couple of different questions. So in removing all of this, are we going to contract this out to someone else, or are we going to get the city arborist to do this?
That's yet to be determined. We're talking to Eric from engineering and Mary Ann with regards to funding sources and what the best economical way to get this done is.
Okay, and I did some research in this. So there are height limit restrictions
Correct.
imposed by the FAA over this. Why do we know why these two particular properties at the end? Because I would be fine removing these as long as the homeowners agree to maintain them, so they don't get to be a nuisance again. But also, if we could change the ordinance along with that, so we don't have to deal with this problem in the future. I know it's not a here and now thing, but that's yeah. Could you clarify that?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure why it's not in the height limitation zoning ordinance, and I do think that there's one of two ways that we can solve this problem. We can pursue a navigation easement with these properties, which would also solve the problem, or we could modify the height limitation zoning ordinance. Either way, that does need to be done, but this is kind of a near future problem, or that's kind of a future problem, which I plan to rectify. But right now, we're just trying to take care of the short term so we can proceed with the planning of the project.
And what's the timeline for getting this done?
We'd like to get this done in 2026, probably the spring.
Okay.
And to prevent interference in the near future, we talked to the landowners about replacing some of the trees with vegetation that would be mutually beneficial to both the airport property and their property, so we wouldn't have to deal with it again.
It looks like in the glide path there's a 10-foot limitation, so it's,
Yeah, it changes as you get further out and to the sides, so every property has a different height limit.
Alder Tierney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So are you coming back with what the cost will be, or,
Looks like that's what we're going to have to do.
okay, thank you.
But it has to be done. I mean, this would hold up the funding for the FAA if we don't do something about this.
Correct. Yep. We were told this is the first step, so that's why we're pursuing it this way.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I guess my thoughts are that we put it on hold until we know the cost. I mean, we're looking at several different sources here, so there could be several different prices, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think we were having kind of a chicken and egg thing in really the legal department. This was the path that they required. So that's why we're following it.
Right. I just, I don't feel like I should say yes to a motion when it's at finance and we don't have any idea what that cost will be.
I understand your trepidation and your logic. When I raised that question with the city attorney, she said this would be the first step, was to come to the financing council approval first. So we're not committing to anything until we figure out how to pay for it and who's going to do the work.
Alder Watson?
So just to wrap my brain around it, the two options that Alder Greiner was talking about, you were talking about, is the changing our ordinance, right? For it, or what was the other one?
Okay.
They're
so-
more long-term vision.
Yeah. So what we often do with properties where we have the chance of trees growing into the approach is we'll have the Wisconsin Bureau of Aeronautics negotiate on our behalf to buy the airspace above properties to the level that's specified above their property, so that when they do have a tree that grows up in there, we can just call them and say, hey, we own the airspace. We need to come in there and modify the trees. And then there's no question. A height limitation zoning ordinance is an ordinance that is not only over the airport, but it's over the surrounding communities. And it specifies each property, how high the obstructions can be there. So it's not only for trees, but like if buildings want to be built off the end of the runway, they have to meet the height limitation zoning ordinance. So under a height limitation zoning ordinance, we can also go in and remove the trees, although it's not as cut and dry. We asked the property owner, they can kind of argue with us a little bit, but we still can go in there because the ordinance takes care of that. Now, what we're actually going for here is we just want to get the trees cut down and then deal with that later on these two properties and identify any others that we don't want to deal with this specific issue with in the future after we've taken care of the trees. Because any delay in this project is going to cause a delay in the runway reconstruction, and we cannot afford any delays in this runway reconstruction. It's all, the project already takes 3 years, and when we get to that point, that runway is going to be quite possibly past the end of its life.
Okay. I guess looking at the removal agreement, it doesn't have, I mean, like running through the removal agreement, it doesn't have us on the hook for any kind of like damages or anything. So I mean, this is just sort of to get talking with them.
Well, I've
And
already
to show the FAA that we're
Yeah.
serious.
I've already spoken with them. What I was, I think what the city attorney's purpose was, and I'm not trying to speak for them, but they wanted to make sure that the council would be okay with us entering into an agreement. Not necessarily discussing funding or anything like that yet, but they were okay with us pursuing removal of the trees. Once we found out that the council was okay with that, then we could go back and pursue the funding and do the project. And by the way, if we do not, just to remind the finance committee here, if we do not remove these trees, we will not receive FAA funding to reconstruct the runway. It's a requirement for FAA funding.
And this particular runway, this is the main runway for the airport.
Yeah, we had the secondary runway reconstructed this year, or last year, I'm sorry, and this is the main runway. This is the runway that makes the city money. This is where the jets and the turboprops take off and land from. So we can't do anything until the money is approved. So if we have to come back, that's what we're going to do. But right now, we just have to say that we're okay with starting the process.
Alder Tierney?
Thank you. With all due respect, and this is not a no by any means, I just can't say yes to a blank check. I realize that this has to be done, and it has to be done quickly. But when you were talking about this spring, that means it doesn't have to be done tomorrow. So I would really like to see some numbers before I would say yes, just so, like I said, I know what the cost is. And the agreement, I can't say yes to an agreement that we haven't even seen. So I just can't say yes to things that we don't have. And that's just my say, so I just can't support it at this particular point in time.
I understand.
Sorry.
Alder Greiner?
Thank you, Chair. So I have a question. I understand the gravity of the situation. We meet in 2 weeks. Would you be able to get us some estimates from local contractors? Could we reach out to Parks and Rec and see if our arborists would be able to do any of this, just to give us some rough ideas of numbers and replacement costs within those 2 weeks? Would that be possible at all?
I'm happy to pursue that, and I will be in contact with Mary Ann and Eric about that. Because we'll not only figure out what maybe cost estimates are, but we'll try and figure out where the money's coming from.
Like I said, I understand, like I said, the gravity of the situation, but I also agree with Alder Tierney on this. It's could be opening up a can of worms, writing a blank check. I get it. So,
Okay. So I guess
could I make a
we can either,
motion to postpone this until our February 24th meeting?
we can do that.
Well,
or-
and if I can't get it done by then, I'll let you know, and we'll have to delay it another meeting too, so. It's understandable.
Yeah.
I can let you know ahead of time.
Alder Watson?
Because when do you have to have the FAA know? Like, is a couple weeks or a month like enough?
No, it's nothing like that, but the sooner we get this done, then the sooner we can start pursuing the other properties that we have to take care of as well.
But these are like the
Yep.
only ones that are really
Yep,
problematic.
these properties are the first step.
Okay. I would second. Do I have to second tabling?
I guess so. Yeah,
I would
Yeah,
second.
either table it or postpone it until our next meeting, which would be on the 24th.
I'd second that.
Okay. Discussion?
And this is on council tonight too, so it'll get.
Oh, it is on,
Yeah.
it is on council tonight.
I don't know why, but
So I guess that'll just have to be pulled from the agenda and then probably move to the next meeting
Yeah.
then. So, Alder Greiner?
Sorry, no, we have to vote on it first. I'm sorry.
Well, we can,
But there's a motion on the floor to postpone.
there's a motion and a second. So if you've got discussion regarding the postponement, otherwise,
Okay, well, I do, yes. So, like I said before, I would also really like to see something done with our zoning ordinances, which is not this committee. However, if staff could transmit that on to the infrastructure committee or zoning for possible zoning or ordinance updates to the property, so we won't
That-
have this going forward in
yeah.
the future.
I think that probably would be difficult to accomplish within that 2 weeks.
That, like, as a going forward
Yeah.
thing, not like a immediate
Something
2-week
that-
thing,
yeah.
so.
Just to make sure
Just
that
to
your
comment on that.
expectations.
yeah, we're not going to get a zoning change in 2
Right.
weeks or even in 2 months.
Right.
So, but that's something to start thinking about, I guess. So, all right, motion to postpone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. So we'll see that in a couple weeks.
Thank you
Item
for your
D.
consideration.
Yep, so that would be item D. Item E, which is similar, approving airspace obstruction removal agreement with Zachary Lang, 811 Ridgeland Avenue in Schofield. And this is the same type of agreement as the previous one, so,
Move to postpone Resolution 26-0204 till our February 24th meeting.
Okay.
I
Motion
second
from
that.
Griner and a second from Watson. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. And then those two items will be pulled from this evening's council agenda. Item number F, approving Sixth Amendment to Advanced Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine SC On-Site Health Services Agreement. And I believe we had this agreement in our last finance meeting, but now is there,
I think this is the fire one.
this is the fire one. Was the other one for the police? Okay. So,
And it was just the sole source at the last one, I
oh,
believe.
okay. So this is the actual modification of the agreement with the
Yes.
new term and the new cost structure. Any discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Alder Watson?
I guess I just had a question. Is there any, like, can you just compare and contrast? Sometimes it's nice to have like a red line one and a, like it looks like 3% a year, the rates will increase. Is that how much they increased from this last contract too, or?
Yeah, I mean, over the 10 years that we've used Tracy and, there's been little increases here and there. What this does is it gives us the opportunity to save money over the next 5 years where the prices, they're foreseeing them to go up more so than that, but being that we have a great relationship, they're offering us that opportunity. So myself and Chief Barnes sat down and looked at this, and that's why we brought it for sole source for a 5-year plan and then sent it up to the attorney's office to look at the contract and then bring it back to finance.
Yeah, I mean, the 3% doesn't sound that bad considering inflation. I mean, they shoot for 2%, but it's plus, most likely plus that.
If I
so-
remember correctly, when we talked about this, about the sole source agreement, if we were to shop around for equivalent services, it would be significantly higher than what we're
Yeah.
getting today.
Yeah, some of the other departments that they're taking care of are higher than us, being that they haven't been with the company as long as we have.
Okay. Otherwise, any other discussion or entertain a motion? Alder Greiner?
I move to approve the Sixth Amendment to Advanced Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine On-Site Health Services
All right, a
Agreement.
motion from Greiner, a second from Tierney. Discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Item G, approving sole source requests for the purchase of real estate acquisition services related to traffic signal relocation at the intersection of Grand Avenue Town Line Road and Grand Avenue Sturgeon Eddy Road through Becker Hoppy for the Wausau Department of Public Works. And we have Eric here if anybody has any questions on this. I know that these with this intersection in my district, I know these signals need to be moved. They get hit all the time. All the time. So, any questions on that? Eric here, if you want to give us anything, so.
I don't think, I mean, like, our state municipal agreement with the DOT was signed a number of years ago, and they've really been dragging their feet. And we finally got into design, not really anticipating any real estate needs. And so after the design was put together to meet regulations, it was determined just a few weeks ago that real estate was needed. And in order to get these bid out this year, we have to go through the eminent domain process, which is very long, 6 to 8 months. We want to bid this project this year and get it started. So in order to meet those timelines. Typically, procurement policy is anything over $25,000, so this is $30,000, so it's slightly over the requirement, so which requires a sole source. Yeah. And I think Alan did a pretty good job on the sole source justifying the need. So if anyone has any questions.
Otherwise, no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Alder Watson?
I'd move to approve the sole source request for the purchase of real estate acquisition services related to the traffic signal relocation at Grand Ave Town Line Road and Grand Avenue Sturgeon Eddy through Beecher Hop.
Alder Tierney, second it. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And that carries.
Thank you.
All right, item H, approving the lease of the River Life Concession Building to Sawmill Mini Golf LLC for the operation of an ice cream business. And we got the lease documents in here, and also the Jamie Pauley from the Parks Department is here to answer any of your questions on this. So, good evening, Jamie.
Good evening. So in your packet is the lease based on their proposal. So it lists the amounts that they're going to pay, and I had it here in front of me, each month, and that is $1,000 from June through August, $700 per May, September, October, and then $100 over the winter, November through April. The cost to the city on average for electric, water, and gas for the concession stand is about $900 a month. So they would be paying more in those summer months, less over those winter months. And we had in the past had $1,000 per month from Bricks. That was reduced when we just had a seasonal operator in the summer. This is their proposal. If you want anything more, we can go back to the proposer and ask for something different and see if they're still interested. But this is what the Parks Committee looked at and approved going forward. It's coming here because it's under a contract.
Alder Watson?
So just some feedback. I mean, you guys saw the minutes probably too, but I'm on Parks. So we had a really good discussion about that even though the contract or the RFPs or the proposals didn't necessarily tick all of the boxes that we really wanted, we want somebody down there. And we think that this project sort of fits that I guess, vision that we had when we put that together. Although it might not totally, balance, right? It was sort of about, like, this is an activity that we find value for our community, and we're sort of subsidizing it a little, right? And it sounds like a really great project that'll, I think, fit into that place. So I don't know. I know the dollars and cents parts might not be the ideal, like it might not totally make ends meet, but I think it'll draw a lot of customers down there and just be good for the community. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to totally be on board for this.
Okay, any other discussion? Alder Greiner?
Thank you, Chair. Some question for the director. You said it's $900 a month. Is that year-round averaged out, or is that $900 for the peak operating season in summer?
That's year-round averaged out.
Okay.
It's higher in the summer. Pulling our utility costs, we keep a spreadsheet. Let's see, this is electric's that's pretty consistent between $400 and $500 a month, with some lower months, the November, December time frame over the years have been. And then our water is higher in the summer because that's when we've had people in it, much lower use or any really use in the winter, but we still have a general charge that we get charged, so
Okay.
the average out.
The lease agreement doesn't cover utilities either, does it?
Utilities are included in their
Oh, that's
payment,
what I meant.
right?
Yeah, sorry.
Right, yeah, their lease payment covers the utilities.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Alder Cheney?
I make a motion that we approve lease of the River Life Concession Building to Sawmill Mini Golf LLC for the operation of an ice cream business.
Okay, motion from Tierney,
Second.
second from Watson. And, yeah, I just, one statement, I know government is not in the business of making a profit, but it would at least be nice if we could cover our costs, but I do agree with Alder Watson that it is important. This is an important part of our community, and it will have multiplier effects by having an actively running business down on the riverfront. So I do support this contract. All right. Any other discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And it carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
A motion from Watson.
Second.
Second from Tierney. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you.